Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Discussing Digital. And today I'm discussing digital with Alison Colley. Alison, would you like to explain a bit more about your business to start with, and then we'll talk about how you're using digital marketing to promote that?
Okay, so I run a firm of solicitors, but we specialise just in employment law. So we're employment specialist solicitors. There are 6 of us in the team currently, and we work for clients all over the UK, so both businesses and individuals, helping with anything employment related, from preparing contracts through to representation at the employment tribunal.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Can you tell me a bit about how you're using digital marketing to promote your business? Because we've chatted before and a lot of things at home, but you are doing some great stuff. So if you want to do an overview, and then I think we're going to sort of dig into a few bits that I think are really fascinating.
Yes, so I suppose I should give some background. When I started the business, it was inspired by listening to lots of podcasters and people who were in the digital marketing arena anyway. And so I was looking at ways in which I could do things differently to my peers. Lots of solicitors are pretty bad at marketing and haven't really delved into, or hadn't at the time I started the business, delved into digital marketing. So we tried to use digital as much as possible in our marketing strategy for 2 reasons. One is to extend our reach. So I'm based, my head office is on the Isle of Wight. I'm trying to reach other people around the UK. It's one way of doing that. And the other is it's fairly inexpensive as a tool. So we use digital as much as possible.
No, that's great that you spotted that as a kind of way to kind of get an advantage on some of your traditional competitors. Anyway, but as you say, you're inspired by podcasts, because I know you're an early innovator with podcasts, weren't you?
Yeah, so I started my first podcast, which was completely unrelated to employment law, in about 2012. And then when I started the business in 2013, I decided actually doing a podcast, given that I had that sort of skill and experience, would be a good thing to do. And like you say, one of the early adopters, if you like. And there were very few other employment law and HR podcasts out there at the time. And so I started it in August 2014, and I've been going fairly consistently since then, up to episode 184, I think it was last week. That's
an amazing number of editions, and I remember because you kindly did a presentation to a mastermind group I was doing a few years ago, and I remember you sort of sharing that actually it helps you raise your profile, and you were in sort of national press, I think it was, about that.
Yeah, so again, a few years ago, before podcasts were really, really popular, I was approached by The Guardian, and they did an article online about using podcasts for business. So that was quite good exposure. I've been contacted and interviewed by people in various places, across the world, and I've met a lot of people off the back of the podcast as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'm going to jump straight to something we were talking about just beforehand. How you're using being an early adopter of innovation, because you shared with me you've got a TikTok account, which I would not have thought of at all until you shared it. So when you actually got me onto TikTok this morning, I see you've got some videos with like 100,000 views and 50,000 views and stuff like that, and I was just really amazed at the sort of like outreach and engagement that you've had with that.
Yes. So I have to say, I have to credit Gary Vaynerchuk, if you heard of Gary V, for this, because I listened to lots of his work. And back in 2020, during the pandemic, he was pushing TikTok as a way in which to get organic reach, if you like, which you can't do on a lot of the other platforms, certainly, Facebook and Instagram and that sort of thing. You don't get that anymore. And so I kind of delved into it, had a look around, and because it was fairly early on, I was able to get quite a good username. Many people were using it. So I've got @employment lawyer, which I think it'd be really difficult to get on many other platforms now. And then during the pandemic and lockdowns, I was doing sort of some information videos on there around employment law, just sort of spreading the word about what's going on with furlough, the sort of vaccination status and employment rights and that sort of thing. And like you say, got quite a lot of very quick reach with those, lots of views on several of those, lots of comments, lots of interaction, and actually people contacting, asking questions directly, and saying that they found us via TikTok and asking for advice. So a lot quicker in terms of contact and conversions than in other media, if you like.
Yeah.
It's worked really well. I think my problem with it has been consistency. When I've been consistent and recording a video at least once a day, then I've seen that the numbers grow much quicker. And then the times when I've sort of slipped on it and haven't done so, it's kind of reduced. But helpfully people leave comments and you can then directly respond to those comments on a video. And so that's been quite a good way of doing some content without having to spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's clear from it that you were doing a lot of, certainly a lot of your latest ones were literally, responding to it. You had the question as like a text on the video, which was really good. But I don't think you should beat yourself up. It is very difficult about consistency. That's all. I think for every small business owner, unless you've got a dedicated person who's producing all your digital content all the time, that is their full-time job. It's so hard to be able to produce content every day. So I would just say don't beat yourself up about it, because it is always a challenge. But I think what you've just done there is brilliant. It's genius, and I'm just kind of I'm going, I'm going to tell other people how to do that, because that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it still is very in its sort of infancy, if you like, TikToks. And I recommend that you get on it, you kind of spend some time looking around, because often people think it's just for really young people, or it's about dancing or doing the kind of stuff. But actually, it's not just that. You can do your own thing. And I would say, don't try to be inauthentic and just try to kind of take up the latest fad if that's not you. There are a couple of things we've done which were quite fun in the office about some of the trends that were going around, but I don't really want to dance to TikTok songs
or lip sync them. Yeah.
I don't mind doing that at home in private, but not for TikTok. So I'm just doing what I do for people on a regular basis, and sharing that via TikTok. So hopefully helping people with employment questions, but also spreading the word about what we do.
Yeah, I think it's great. And it's interesting the impact of TikTok, because as we were discussing just beforehand, Instagram is now doing Instagram Reels, which are very, very much like, to me, like a direct response to that, and similar YouTube Shorts. So I think it's sort of one of the things, again, with the challenge of creating content, at least you could almost repurpose some of that stuff across those other channels to just get some other reach. I'm not sure about YouTube Shorts. I've not quite got that, but Instagram might be an interesting thing to look at. Yeah, I've done a couple of YouTube Shorts where I was just trying it out when it sort of came in, and then Instagram. We do have Instagram, and have got an account. I think we've got a business account which my colleague deals with. But I really have decided to kind of focus in on particular areas, which like TikTok and LinkedIn and YouTube, because you can get lost amongst it, can't you? Yes. Yeah. Again, we were saying that before, when you're talking about, the good thing is you actually said to me, in my digital marketing strategy, a lot of people don't say that. You've got a strategy, and it is focus on a couple of things and do them well. Because I think that's absolutely right. Because again, we were talking about the challenges of creating content, but it's much better to do one or two things right. And we said, I think you're rocking all these things, than try and do everything and not do any of it well. That's good. And you mentioned there as well about LinkedIn and YouTube and video. So sort of, if you're right, to talk a little bit more about those. So let's talk a bit about video and YouTube, because I think you did actually mention YouTube specifically rather than just video.
Yes. So we're doing a couple of things with YouTube at the moment. One is we're using software to repurpose the podcast into videos format for YouTube, because people do still listen just to audio on YouTube. So that's worked quite well. And we did a series of videos when we commissioned a local company to help us with some videos, some sort of informational videos to promote the firm. And there is more in the pipeline in relation to YouTube, because again, I think the kind of informational videos, the sort of longer ones than the TikTok video, are really helpful. The most popular video that on there at the moment is one around ACAS, just a short video of me talking and explaining about what ACAS is. And so we want to do more of those sort of explanation type videos, and maybe do some more around sort of explaining some of the processes. So lots of people, can't afford a budget of a solicitor. So our aim is to provide information so people can do it themselves. And that's where the YouTube kind of comes in.
Yeah, and YouTube's very good for that. A lot of people do go and search, specifically looking for information and questions. So again, makes great sense about what you're doing. And people often forget, business owners often forget that actually YouTube's the second biggest used search engine, and is owned by Google. So it really helps with that when people are just looking for advice. So I do love your strategy. And the other thing you mentioned was about LinkedIn. So if you've got anything sort of you'd like to share about how you're using LinkedIn?
Again, another thing inspired by Gary Vee was the LinkedIn. I was always on LinkedIn, if you like, and sort of dabbled with it previously. But again, it's one of those platforms where currently you can get quite good organic reach with your posts. So you don't have to spend money on advertising and marketing to get in front of your audience. And it's quite good in terms of the people I'm trying to reach and connect with, who are, business owners or HR professionals from that sort of standpoint. And again, it's worked really well for me during the pandemic, because there were lots of updates, about furlough and information. And so we just used it as a platform to share information and updates to people. And again, had some really good reach on some of those posts and good connections as a result. So it's kind of twofold, if you like. LinkedIn is really sort of targeting the kind of business and employer clients, and then TikTok is more around the individual and kind of employee clients. So those are the two I see, where we've had really good, like you say, really good reach, and it hasn't cost us anything in terms of advertising. Yeah,
no, and I think that's so true. Particularly for startup businesses where they have a limited budget, actually trying to do digital marketing with organic reach is a great way that you can compete with far bigger organizations if you play it smart.
Yeah.
So that's really good. So I forgot what I was going to say. I'm just sort of a little bit conscious of time, because I know you're very, very busy.
No, that's okay.
So one of the things I like to ask people is if you have one kind of tip or thing or tip to share, or one good thing for other business owners to be doing within digital marketing.
I suppose it's to find what you're good at, what you like, the spaces you like to be in first. Don't necessarily think, okay, well, this is where everyone's at, so I'm going to go to that kind of platform, if you don't like it and you're not engaged with it yourself. So I think you need to enjoy the platform if you're going to be doing content yourself. And I suppose the second thing is being aware of your message and what you're trying to achieve from it. So, you often see people who are just advertising or spamming and using digital for that purpose, but really it's about providing value and adding value to people. And that's the starting point for us, is we create content that adds value or provides something to the people that are seeing it first.
Yeah, that's really good. And I'm just going to keep pushing your TikTok thing. Just go and look at that, what you're doing there, because it's really clever how you just are answering people's questions, and that's true added value. And on the flip side of that, is it going back to the hints and tips, is there one piece of advice you say to people that just don't do that?
I suppose I think, it's around the consistency piece, isn't it? I think you can't just kind of drop in on something and try and, work it for a couple of weeks and then leave it and then come back, because you've got to, in everything, isn't it, digital, you've got to sort of build your audience, whatever platform that might be. So, being authentic and sticking around is really important.
Yeah, another great piece of advice as well. So if people are going to want to reach out to you, I will share all the links, and that'll be in the video and also be in all the posts related to it. But if they wanted to reach out to you, is there a particular way that you would recommend people they want to get in contact with you, either just because they need an employment lawyer or because they like to talk to you about your digital marketing, I suppose?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn if you want to see, what's going on. Obviously, TikTok, it's at Employment Lawyer. And then if you just Google Alison Colley, I come up quite on all of the search results, fortunately. And if you have a question or anything you want to ask, then we do, respond to people. We'll give you a free call and that sort of thing. You can always email me. So my email is just alison@realemploymentlawadvice.co.uk.
Okay, that's great, and it's been great to talk to you. It's been really good to do some of those some of my homework and just see some of the stuff you're doing, because you are doing some really good stuff. And as you say, you've always been an adopter of digital marketing as a way to help build and grow your business. So really appreciate you spending the time talking with me today about this.
Yeah, thanks for asking me. It's been great.
It's a pleasure. All right, that's great. So.